guys. Hello, everyone. We're making a quick video. Just want to hear from Brittany and Jaila, catch up a little bit with you all. And we want to keep engaging the reality of racial reconciliation in our country. We think it's a big deal. So we're going to just talk through a few questions, and we'll send this video out to you guys later this week, and you'll get to see that. So anyway, hey, just for the two of you, tell us a little bit about just where you're from, and if you saw racial tension or racism play into your life or into your city, your school, your family, anything like that before you came to MSU. I'll let whoever wants to go first dive in.
Okay, so I'll go. So I'm from St. Louis, and the state of Missouri is a pretty prejudiced state to begin with. So St. Louis is sectioned off in two different parts. Basically, we have the city of St. Louis and the county of St. Louis. And in the city of St. Louis is where majority of the Blacks live, and then the county is where everybody else lives. So my family, we live in the city of St. Louis, and my family, we've always been exposed to every culture that you could possibly think of. Me and my brother, we went to an international school before we got transferred to county schools. So we were exposed to everybody. We didn't really experience racism until we got to the county schools. Of course, me and my family takes education very seriously. So seeing a Black kid come out and, outscore everybody, of course, we got a lot of looks. And they're like, where did you come from? And I'm just like, God put me here just like you. Yeah. And so also my brother, he did a lot of travel baseball, and we were the only Black team there. We stayed in nice hotels. We had real fly uniforms that they didn't have. So of course we experienced looks, of course, going in and out of stores. They think that, sometimes we don't belong there. So, it's just all about the looks, it's like part of my everyday life. So it's sad to say, but you get used to it. So I don't know, that's a little bit about where I come from.
Can you, what you told me a month or so ago, can you tell everybody what you said about your brother and as far as driving and all that stuff?
Oh yeah, so they're just it makes me sad because they're kind of I want to say numb, but not numb to the situation, because they know this could happen to me one day. So it's kind of and it makes me sad because it's why do my brothers have to, and me too, because we've seen in the media that Black women are being attacked as well. So, but it's a little harder for the Black men out here. So it just makes me sad that they're kind of okay with, I know that, I'll be questioned one day when I'm driving, and it's just kind of no, that's not okay. But this is kind of how society is for us, been for decades. So that's that.
Shouldn't even be something you have to teach your brothers how to do, in the sense of,
yeah,
make sure you do this and don't do this, and, yeah.
What about you, Jaila? Tell us a little bit about where you're from.
Okay, my name is Jaila. I'm from Louisville, Kentucky. Growing up, I would say, I knew the color of my skin, and I come from a 6-family household. So when we went to school out, in the county where we're in the Jefferson County. We went to basically white schools. So my high school was Jeffersontown High School. So basically I went to an all white school. So going to school, I was a part of different clubs like journalism, principal's forum, yearbook, and being the only black lady in there, you get questioned, you get asked, you get stared at, because it's a stereotype. Well, you're not meant to be a part of, this club or this journey. But me being happy to actually join something I love was something that's all I worried about. The color of my skin didn't matter. At the games, when I went to the game, people stared, people questioned how I felt, but as long as I was welcome, that's all that mattered. So I felt that it didn't really start playing a part to me until applying for schools, for colleges, because you want to go to a school that you feel welcome, and diversity is key. Because if I didn't go to a diversity school when I was in elementary, middle school, I wanted to see color. I wanted to see people of my own kind where I can relate to, or who I can talk to. So it was very important to me when I applied for schools, I looked at the diversity rate. what was key to me, what I like, what would stand out for me that I didn't get to see in high school, you know, what I could get from professors and, you know, different students that I didn't get from my own classmates in high school.
Oh, that's great. And, you know, one of the things both of you have kind of hinted at is that, you know, growing up, the things that are right in front of you, sometimes you don't notice how much they're right in front of you until all of a sudden it's just like, bam. And that for me, you know, I grew up in sort of my context of, we were always kind of around diverse groups of people, whether that was international students or also just around lots of diverse colors. And so for me, I've had to learn a lot of this later. That, you know, I'm like, you know, I was talking to a friend last week and I was like, you had to learn how to drive? And he's like, yeah, man, I had to learn like what to do and to drive. And I'm like, how did I miss this? Like, and he said, he very nicely looked at me and said, have you looked in the mirror lately? And I was just like, oh, like how in the world did I miss this? And so I've had a lot of my own like guilt and shame of, am I really that blind? Like just to not, or like Brittany was talking about, like, have I just become numb to it too? Which, you know, that's awful. Like if we've all just become numb to it, both those who experience persecution or racism and those who don't, but aren't woken up to that. And they aren't like, hey, this is a big deal. And so anyway, thank you for sharing some of that with us. And for me, one of the most difficult things these last few months is there is so much noise, right? I mean, just social media, good grief, both with COVID, which is its own thing, but also with Black Lives Matter and racism and all that sort of thing. And so how have you and your families kind of navigated these conversations over the last few months? We'd love to hear a little bit of that, just how you've tried to have conversations recently, or is it just kind of a normal part of everyday life? And so I'd love to hear some of that from the two of you.
Okay,
Yes.
I can start.
Okay.
Okay. So like with my family, with my grandparents actually, like, you know, experience segregated schools. So like I get a lot of that from my grandmothers and my grandfathers, like they're telling us that, you know, we are a target. So like with me, I have to say my dad has really been honest about it, because we work in an area where it's full of, you know, white people. So it's like we have to present ourselves in a way that, you know, they see us and we see them. So it's like we are target, because when we walk into place, they're looking to pick, you know, a fight or a nitty gritty thing on what they can get you down on. So it's like when we go in, we know what we're going for and we know what we're coming out. So it was like my dad expressed to me that, you know, as we get older, people are going to look at us a different kind of way, because they don't think we deserve equal opportunities and equal rights such as them. So like when I go to work, I have the mindset, I'm going to serve people. I'm not going to, you know, pick on anybody or say anything that will get me in trouble. I go do my job and go home. So it's like I learned how to, you know, cope with when people say negative things about Black Lives Matter and how all people matter. We know all people matter, but it's keyword Black Lives Matter. So it's like I try not to let that get to me. I just have to go in, especially like my dad's been really on my brother, because it's like my brother plays sports. So like with his friends, he's a target. So it's like when you go somewhere, you have to be on your best behavior, because you don't know what someone could accuse you of or blame you, you know?
No, thank you, Jaila.
Yeah,
That really bothers me what you said, you know, that the movement of Black Lives Matter, duh. That's exactly what we're saying, is that all lives matter. Come on. So thank you for sharing that. What about you, Brittany?
So for my family, just like Jaila said, my grandparents, they grew up in segregation. So it's like for us, as when we were little, we've always talked about, the conversations never changed for us. So it's always been, okay, you're Black, you don't get the same opportunities as everybody else in the world. And you're like, what? But when you grow older, you're like, wow, I have to work 10 times harder just because the color of my skin that I didn't even ask for. So it's just more lately we've just been like she said, it's been more like focused in on my brother's, like, because my brother, he just got his license, so it's like, you know, when you get pulled over, this is what you do. You know your rights. Like, my parents are making sure that we know our rights, and we're not just out here. You know, knowledge is power. So we're educating ourselves, just trying to understand. You know, when is this going to end? The conversation is very, you know, especially when talking to our grandparents about it, it's like they're frustrated because years ago they were dealing with the same thing, but I don't know what was worse then or now. It's all bad. And, you know, we just been more so praying more, taking more of a spiritual aspect on it, just because there's nothing that we can really do about it. As we've seen, people protested, there are riots happening, and nothing's changing. Some laws are changing, but it's like, why was that even a law in the first place that we have to change that? Yep. So it's more like we're praying and just like reading the Bible, just trying to, you know, like we read in Proverbs, the abominations of God and stuff like that. So we've just been trying to, you know, stay level-headed. So that's it.
No, that's great. And you know, you said that this has always been a conversation for us, you know, and that makes me sad in a lot of ways, just because I'm like, man, what is the deal? And at the same time, I'm like, you need to be talking more, you know, because this is not a conversation for me. I'm 34. And so, like, I need to listen to you. Like, that's why we want to talk to you. Like, I've got to listen and be like, oh my gosh, like we have to listen to each other. We have to listen to experiences and then be willing to find a way to move forward together. Because that for me, my personality is, how can we move forward together? Like today, we've got to do this together today. And so, that's why I appreciate y'all sharing some of this with us. Hey, one more question, just to kind of wrap things up. If you were to try to talk to Murray State students, especially our ministry students, like, hey, how do we move forward together? So, like, based on kind of your life experiences, but also, man, you guys are followers of Jesus. You know, like you said, like, we believe the Bible has a lot to say about this. We believe the history of Christianity has a lot to say about this. And so, how do we just move forward, you know, going into the new school year, with all the noise? You know, how do we as a ministry kind of say, hey, we want to practice unity through diversity. We want to affirm every human being's made in the image of God. There is a beauty in color. There's a beauty in culture. And so we can acknowledge all those things and still be followers of Jesus and make a difference in the world. So, you know, do you have any encouragement for us kind of as we move forward as a ministry?
So what I would say is that I would want the Murray State students and staff and just the Murray community to know, like, so I know you said you guys weren't really exposed to this, but racism is still a thing today. It never went anywhere. Yeah. And it's just more so being publicized today. So, like, we've always seen it, but now everybody else has seen it. And like my mom said, everybody's getting exposed. So with that being said, like I said earlier, we didn't ask to be on this earth. Neither did you. We are all humans that God created equally, and no man has the say-so of what we can and what we cannot do in this world. And I just feel like, as a follower of Christ, if you say you love God, you love everybody. So for me, it's just more so, I know that I've met so many students and staff at Murray that, you know, claim to be followers of Christ. And so if that is what you claim, act like a follower of Christ. Love all of us. You know that it is wrong to have hate in your heart if you love God. So do not hate another person that God put on this earth. And that's all I have to say. And if you, you know, truly, you know, if that's really what you claim to be, support your fellow sisters and brothers in Christ and take a stand for it, because this fight has been for decades and it gets me emotional. But like, I'm so tired of turning on the news and somebody's dying. It makes me sad.
And to piggy off what Brittany's saying, like, you know, it is a fight that, you know, our Black sisters, our Black brothers have tried to have a voice and try to stop it. But, you know, everyone's voices need to be heard. Everyone needs to be stepping out and saying something. Everybody's voices, because we can't just fight it on our own. It takes a whole, it takes a, you know, an army. And if they truly love everybody, we've all put on the earth equally, not by choice, equally. We should be loved as whole. We should not be seeing our Black brothers, our Black sisters being killed on the news. It's a cycle that hasn't been broken. The cycle needs to stop. The chains need to fall. It has to come to an end, because if it doesn't, we're just gonna keep fighting. The war is not gonna be over. We're gonna keep killing each other because the war is not over. We're tired of seeing people dying. I'm tired of seeing people that I know dying. No justice, no peace. We need to have peace. The world needs to come to a whole. We need peace. And until we get peace, the world is just going to be in this revolving rage of hate. Hatred is key. It's just too much hate going on. And we don't want to say that, you know, everyone hates each other, or, you know, certain people don't like the color of our skin. It's just for all of us to come together as godly people. We need to see a change. We need to see that we can all stand together no matter what. Yellow, brown, white, any kind. We stand together as one, unified.
Y'all keep going. We'll just sit here all day. We're going to be quiet now. Thank you to both of you. You know, we're in, and I hope that from Heather and me, you have not felt any of that. You know, that I'm not with it. I don't understand a lot of it, which is why I'm really trying to catch up. So I don't have that bone in my body. And I thank my parents for that. You know, I thank them when everything kind of hit recently, and I texted both of them, thank you for not raising me this way. You know, just I don't think that way. I've never thought that way. And so we want to be a part of the solution, and I don't know what the solution is, you know, other than, you know, some very tangible things. And part of what I've heard both of you say is that we have to take individual ownership for this now. That the only way to change some of the things happening globally or systemically is by individually taking ownership of this. And so if we've been asked as followers of Jesus to love people, that means that when the opportunity comes up, you have to say something. That when jokes happen, we have to stop them. That when snide phrases that we don't think mean anything, they actually do mean something. So we have to stop those snide phrases. And so that for me has been one of the biggest deals lately, of every moment that I can step in when something's said that people think, oh, it's not a big deal, it's just a phrase. No, it is a big deal. And so we have to stop perpetuating those circles and those cycles that I'm talking about. You got anything else?
I want to bounce off. Well, I think Jaila mainly touched on this, but the idea of peace, you know, the nation as a whole is not at peace with this. It hasn't been for generations. But you guys talking about how even going out, you're just going to go in, you're going to come out, you're not going to say anything, you're going to slide under the radar. You guys don't have peace. Like, in yourselves, you don't have the peace. And so that, I got chills while y'all are talking, because it really brought it home for me. And I don't know what it's like. And I grew up in a very monochromatic community, I guess you could say. And is that the right word for that?
You grew up around a bunch of white people?
Yeah.
Yeah, got it.
I'm very ignorant to this. I really am, unfortunately. And part of it's my choosing of being ignorant, and then some of it's just how I was brought up. I didn't really know any different. But man, after knowing you guys and meeting you guys and to hear, and I'm sorry I never caught on to it before and didn't know about it before, that you guys are not at peace just in your own bodies.
Yep.
In the sense of knowing that when you go out, step outside your door, anything could happen. And so I don't know other than I'm sorry.
Hey, we love you.
Yeah.
I hope you know that. And we are as much with you as we can be, both while you're at home and while you're here. And so, you guys have anything else to share with us, just to share with your ministry friends before we get out of here?
I just want to tell you guys thank you for the opportunity. I think it's great that you guys allowed us to do this. And I just hope that somebody gets something out of it.
Yep.
That's just all I'm praying for. And love you.
Yep.
Y'all are awesome.
Yes, I just want to say thank you from the bottom of my heart for giving us this platform, this voice to actually let people hear where we're coming from, and hopefully, people take heed and learn from it and actually know that, your voices can be heard, your words are powerful, people are listening.
Yep.
But know what to say the right thing, and thank you, and I love you too.
We need help. Y'all gonna have to call my white butt out. I'm gonna say something stupid, and it's happening. It's going to. One of the things I've had to repent of is I have used Black culture as a way of me affirming Black lives, and that's wrong. I love rap music, but that does not mean I love a Black person, and so that's wrong. And so I've had to come to grips with that. And anyway, I hope you guys know we love you. We can't wait till you get back, even if you're wearing a stinking mask. So anyway, we'll talk soon. Cool?
Mm-hmm.
Cool.
Thank you guys.
Love you guys.
See ya. Love you too.
See ya. Love you too.